Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm going to be doing this beautiful image by Jasmine Becket-Griffith. This is Wicked Witch and Glinda. I'm using markers for this one. I am also doing a pencil one later on as well. So guys, let's pop in and have a look. So guys, I have my image printed on Express It blending card. I've got A5 size here. It's a little bit smaller. I've done the same with the pencil version as well. So today we're going to color these two images. We're going to do some normal colored skin for Glinda, and we're going to do the green skin for the Wicked Witch. So that was the pencil version there that I've done already. I will be popping a coloring up of that as well. So I'm going to start in here and I'm just marking in all of my shadow areas. I'm going to do 2 layers of skin on both Glinda and the Witch just to get that depth into the facial features. So I'm using E04 to go through and line out all of the shadow areas. I'm doing a fairly thin line to start with, the next line maybe a little bit thicker, depends on how I'm feeling on the day. So I'm just going to go in and mark all this out for you now. So just a reminder, if you haven't subscribed already, please do so because you will get messages, or if you click on the notifications, you'll be able to get notifications when I do update new videos or add new videos. Also too, I've done a couple of live feeds, quite enjoying those. I think it's a little bit of fun and it's a way for us to interact as well as a community and as well with me. So if you're interested in having a look at those, I will try to get one done every week. I am colouring in the, I think her name's Ballerina in Nicholas Filbert's book, Serene, sorry. And I'm just colouring that with pencil at the moment, so I'm just going to be doing an hour at a time. So if you want to drop in and have a look, you can, and make sure you say hello as well. So I've just finished that colour now. I'm just coming in with E11. I'm going over the top of that previous colour and just extending this a little bit further out. So each colour that we do, we want to make that colour a little bit thicker, as well as going over the previous colour to help blend that in. So also too, I'm so close. So by the time I upload this, I may already have made it to a 1K. So 1,000 subscribers. It is fantastic. I'm so excited and I just want to thank you guys. So I will do a live video once that comes into play. I think I'm like 40 people off now, so it's so close. I have heaps of stuff to give away, so really excited about that as well, which I'll mention all of that in the post when it all goes live. So just going to continue on doing this color, and then we're going to blend out the next color, which we're going to use some E21. So the pencil version, I've used Prismacolor pencils for that one. It came out really bright and vibrant and I really love it. I couldn't get exactly the same colors obviously in both pictures, but I tried to get them fairly similar. So it's sometimes a little bit hard with pencil because obviously, you know, we have 358 marker colors and we've only got 150 Prismacolor pencil, so it's half the amount or less than half the amount of pencils, so it is really hard to sort of get the same or exact colors. So as I said before, I'm coming in now with that E21 and just blending over the top of the previous color and extending this further out. So we're slowly and gradually building up on the color from the shadows out towards the highlighted sections of the face. I've just got 2 more colors to come in with now, so most of the area will now be covered up except for those highlight areas. So just going to finish that off now. If you guys have any questions, there's a couple of things that I just want to mention too. One is that I do have a Facebook group, so you're welcome to come along and join that, and you can check out some other people's colorings as well. Also too, if you're wanting to have a look at the top 10 or be in the top 10, that is where you'll get your chance to do that. If you are posting up your beautiful images, there'll be 10 picked out each week to showcase on my channel. So if you guys haven't seen that already, just pop in and have a look at those. I can pop a card up here, up in the top screen here. I'll pop it up there so you can have a look at the playlist for that. So if that's something that interests you, come along and join the Facebook group. The link is in the description at underneath the video as well. So I'm coming in now with E00 and I'm going over the top of everything and just extending this further out. So basically we've got a tiny little section of white left, which we're going to go over now with some E000 and fill that in now. So I'm just going over that. This layer is going to be a lot quicker because we've only really got that middle section to be sort of blending over, and the rest we're just sort of going over with the marker, so it's quite quick, this last layer. I'm going to come back in and redo all of those colors again, so with a second layer. So that was the first thing about the group. Second thing, I have got Instagram as well. You can follow me on there. Link is in the description for that as well. Also, I have a blog, and the color lists or color charts for these, I'm actually made these available for the lowest level of patrons, so if you'd like to pop over and have a look at that, you can. Just before I've done that second layer, I'm just popping a little bit of a R20 in for the blush on the cheeks, and I've just put a little bit on top of the eyeshadow area there as well. I'm going to blend that out with all the other colors as we come back over with that second layer now. So the pencil version that I've done, I have done it in a speed coloring for YouTube. The actual color chart for that will be available to patrons, and if you want to see the full in-depth video of that one, you will need to have a look at Patreon, so you do need to be a patron to be able to get access to that as well. So I'm still coming in now, doing that second layer. I've got E04 now, and I'm just coming in and lining out those shadow areas. Now I have kept it actually nice and thin this time around as well. I didn't want that to be as dark as too dark, because she is quite white. Generally in most movies that I've seen, she's quite white. So we're going to have a look. Once I do the darker skin on the Wicked Witch as well, it does sort of make her look a little bit whiter, and then we're filling in all the details and things like that as well, does that too. So I'm just going to continue on with this color. Next color I'm coming in with is the E11. I'm going to go over the top of that one and bring that further out. So just make sure that you do in between the eyes there. Jasmine's signature drawings, her eyes and nose are always very similar. And there's a fair gap in between the forehead and the nose, and I like to put a little bit of shadow in there like her original drawings. It does sort of make it look a little bit better, and it does make it look like she's looking down a little bit more, so there's a little bit more shadow over her face as well. Just also reminding you that this video has been sped up, so it's not a real-time video. So if you're having trouble keeping up and you'd like to keep up with the colors, just slow down the video. There's an option to do that through YouTube, so you can decrease the speed, or in other cases you might like to increase the speed. So almost finished off now with the E11. I'm going to come in now with the E21 and go over the top of that previous color and extend this further out. So you can see now that we're really starting to create a lot of depth. The first layer doesn't quite do that because you need to sort of build up that color a little bit. The first layer seems a little bit more desaturated, so this is just sort of smoothing it out a little bit more and creating that depth in those shadow areas. So I'm coming in now with some E00. I'm just bumped the desk there. The camera is actually attached to the base of my colouring board, so when I do move or do like pencil colouring and things like that, you can get a little bit of a wobble there. So just coming in with that E00 now and just sort of finishing off that darker layer now, because we've got our final colour to come over the top of this. So I'm just blending it out over the top of everything there and just sort of feathering it out towards the real highlight areas. So it looks nice and smooth now. We've lost the desaturated look. The cheeks there now are nicely blended out towards the highlight as well, so we've got a nice pink sort of tone coming in for her cheeks. So this is the E000, and I'm just going over everything again now, making sure that the colours from the lightest colour there out to the darkest is nice and smoothly blended. So we're going to start on the Wicked Witch. I'm just popping my markers away there before I do that. Otherwise I end up with a great big mess. And I did also write down my colour list as I was going for this, because the green is a little bit different. I haven't done green before. I have done blue for Jasmine Becket image, and I've done sort of a light pale green through skin, but I haven't actually made green skin. So this is the first time. So I had to play with different markers. I played around with some different colors. Some of them came out too yellow. I didn't want her to look sort of yellow and pasty. So I ended up going with a brighter color green. It is a little bit different to the skin of the pencil version, but I really quite like how it came out. So I'm coming in and doing out all of the shadow areas now using that G29. So you'll notice that I've done the hands. I've made sure I put little creases in where the wrist is and the fingers and things like that as well. Now the G29, I didn't come back in and do a second layer of that because I have trouble with that particular color. The ink is quite thick and it can make the blending of the other colors a little bit harder, so I won't actually use that again. I'll just use from G7 onwards to do the second layer. So I'm just coming over the top of that previous color and extending it further out and making sure that I line in my shadow areas that I haven't lined out with that real dark color yet. So I'm coming in now with some G05 and I'm just going to go over the top of the previous color and extend them further out. So we're actually repeating the same steps we did on the paler skin, we're just using the greens now to do that. So I've got some G02, I'm just going over the top of the previous colours and extending this a little bit out. I've still got 2 more colours to go after this, actually 3 more colours I think. So I don't want to sort of go too far in, but I still want to leave a little bit of highlight. Sometimes the colour that I put in over the top doesn't actually show through very much in that highlighted section, but it still can change the colour of the skin and help to blend it out. So I didn't have an in-between colour in just the G, so I'm using YG41, which is yellow, green, 41. However, this colour is not really, it doesn't have a lot of yellow in it, so you can't tell that it's a yellow-green colour. It's just a nice bright green, which I really liked. The final colour I'm coming in with there is the G000, and I'm going to go over all of the remaining highlight areas left and go out and just spread this over the skin. Now, because of the colour of it and how dark it is, the G000 does desaturate it a lot. You can already see that it's starting to get sort of, I guess, a spotty sort of look, so it definitely needs that last layer. So I'm going to do a second layer of all those colours. So starting at the G07 though, because as I said, that G29 was a little bit too thick and it just doesn't layer very well on the second layer. Just coming in now and doing, so basically I'm going to use this colour to do both that very dark shadow area and the next colour up now. So just going over all of those areas now. So what we're aiming for is to have a smooth look without having that kind of desaturated, faded out, spotty look. Okay, so I've got now the G05 and I'm going to repeat the same steps as before. And now I've got that G02, just flicking it out now towards the middle more and more. If you're very, very light, you could go over that highlighted area as well with this, because that lightest color is just going to make that blend nice and smooth anyway. So I've just done a really light layer over those real highlighted sections there. I'm going to swap over to G000 and I'm just going to go, oh sorry, not G000, so my G41 first. I'm going to just blend this over the whole skin area, because I found that the blend between this colour and G000 was a little bit too harsh. I wasn't getting that nice smooth blend, so I've done this over the highlights as well. And then the last colour we've got is the G000. So I've kind of just concentrated this mainly on those highlighted areas. I've just gone over a couple of times and just done one layer over the darker areas. So it looks quite good. We've got our highlights. You can still see depth in there, and it's green skin. So I just wanted to just show you, if you're worried about the color of it being too dark again, I just wanted to put a little bit of the black hair in, just so you can see that it actually does sort of lighten up a little bit once we start putting things around it. So I am using the black 100 here, and I'm going in and just lining out all of my shadow lines. So I'm just going over the lines that were already there, and I'm just coming underneath the hat and places where there would be a shadow, so where things are laying over the top of other things. So hair parts, you might notice that there is some that's sitting on top of the hair and there is some underneath. So those are the parts that I'm just marking out now. Okay, so you can see there that that colour actually looks really nicely blended with the rest of the picture. I'm going to put in the facial features now, so the eyes and the lips and things like that. I'm using some RV06. You can't really see it in the shine of the camera there, but it is RV06, and I'm just lining in the middle of the lips and the sides of the lips, and also putting a line underneath the middle where the part joins together. And then I've blended it out with some RV04. I've left a couple of white sections there, which I'll come back in with the white gel pen and fix them up later as well. I've got some RV02 going over the top of those white areas just to soften off the colour change. It's funny how completely different those same colours look on each of those girls. So depending on that skin colour, it sort of changes the effects of the same colours. So I'm going to come in and do the eyes. So I'm going to use some C3 for all of the shadow areas on the whites of the eyes. So we want the eyes to look like a sphere, so we're going to come in and sort of create a little bit of a shadow so it looks rounded. I'm going to blend it out with some C0 and then some colorless blender. I'm going to do both the eyes different colored, so I'm going to give Glinda the blue eyes and the Wicked Witch green eyes. Just blending out that C3 with the C0 now. It's much easier to see in the photograph at the end how the effects of the eyes look as well. Like on camera, it's hard to get such depth and clarity in there so you can see exactly how it looks straight away. But R43 now, I'm using this on all of the sort of pink fleshy areas of the eye. Just writing those down so I don't forget them. So for the dark colour of the blue eyes, I'm using B29. So I'm just going in and marking around the pupil and also coming down into the iris from the top down a little bit. I'm going to blend it out with some B06 and I'm just going to leave a small gap at the bottom of the eye for the lightest colour. So they're going to be quite dark, it's just that bottom part of the eye that'll be a little bit lighter. And I've got some B02 for that. Now I'm going to come back in and put some details, the black lines and things like that in with the black marker, so the middle of the pupil there. And I'm going to put some white gel pen in to make it look sort of like moist and speckled, shiny, glimmery sort of look. Now with the green eyes, we're going to use some YG99. I'm going to do exactly the same, coming in from the top down. I'm going to blend it out with some YG67. So I'll come a little bit further down with that darker colour. Got YG67. Just coming further down to the bottom of the iris now. And at the bottom there, I'm just going to use some YG13. Now I wanted to use the YG colours in this one so that the eyes stood out a little bit better from the skin. So we don't want them to look exactly the same, it kind of blends in a bit. So I've got my black mark, I'm just filling out the black pupils of the eye. I also did the eyebrows on the Wicked Witch black as well earlier. If you need to go over any of the black eyelashes or anything to make them stand out a little bit, sometimes they don't print quite dark black, you could do that with your marker as well. I'm using the white gel pen to put in my highlights and that glimmery sort of look. I'm going to put some dots on the lips and that's the main parts of the face done then. That white gel pen just makes it just makes those eyes look so glassy. So I'm going to start on Glinda's hair, Glinda it is, sorry, and I'm putting my shadow colour. So I'm going to do the same thing I did on the Wicked Witch with the black, but I'm going to use the E15 for this one. Took me a little while to decide what colours to do. I was going to go straight into the yellow, but I decided to just blend out that E15 with some E33 just to lighten it off a little bit so that it's not quite so dark in the yellow parts of the hair. So just doing the same thing as I did before, just flicking my marker out on each side there just to sort of create that shine in the middle of each of those parts of hair. I'm going to use some Y32, which is like a caramel sort of colour. I'm just coming over the top of the previous colour and extending this further out. Now I'm coming in with that Y11 and just extending this all the way through those highlight sections. If you find that the shadow areas have darkened or lightened up too much or desaturated too much, you could come back in and do a second layer of each of those. So I'm going to finish off the Wicked Witch's hair. I've got C9 to do that. So I'm blending out from the darker black areas now out towards the other highlight area. So we're going to create that gap in the middle, which will be our highlight still. Now you don't have to use just black through here. You might like to use a little bit of dark green as well to give her hair a little bit of a green tinge as well. I've got C7 coming in there. I wanted to look like a nice sort of shimmery black, so I've left it white and greys. So you can see that I've left some white streaks through there just to show that shininess on the black hair. So now we've done that, we've kind of done most of the actual natural sort of parts of the witches. So we're coming in now to do all of the costumes and the background and things. So for the dress for Glinda, I wanted to make it nice and bright pink. I think pink and green really go together nicely, so I'm using pink to do her dress. So I'm using RV69 to mark in all the shadow areas. Now on the clothes there, I have sort of marked in a few extra lines just to show where there's depth and where the highlights are. So putting in a couple of extra lines for creases in the dress and things like that also gives it a little bit of character. So I'm lining out all of those shadow areas. So anywhere where there's things overlapping the dress, so under the crown, under the arm and things like that, I'm doing that now. So you can see that I've filled out quite a bit of the dress now with that darkest colour. I'm going to come in now with some RV29 and I'm going to go over the top of this colour and blend it a little bit further out. So I'm only using a couple of colours through the dress, so this will be the next colour going over. And I'm sorry that I may not have moved the camera or the picture here up a little bit. Sometimes when the camera is really close up like that so I can get a little bit of detail, I forget that you can't see the bottom of it, so I do apologize for that. I'm just going to go in and fill out this color now. So I've got some RV25 and I'm going to go over and finish off that area, just leaving a little bit of white for the highlights. I really love this color. They are so bright, these RV colors. They're just gorgeous colors. So I'm just coming over the top now of all of those sections. I'm only leaving, as I said, a little gap for a white highlight on there as well. So I'm going to try and bring in a little bit of her eye colour into her dress as well. I've got that B29, just coming in and marking out those areas there, leaving a little gap for some highlight colour. Blending over the top of that now with some B06, and then I'm going to finally finish that area off with some B02. So we want to make it look like those pieces of clothing are wavy, so we want to have some highlight parts and some darker parts. So in the dips I've done it dark, and then as we come up to the top of sections I've done them as that highlight color. So I've got B02 to do that now. And I've just forgotten to do the little sort of jewel on the top of her dress there, so I'm just going to fill that out. Making sure that I put a white dot in there for the real highlight colour, because we wanted to make it look like a shiny jewel. So to bring these two dresses in together, the Wicked Witch, I'm going to do the trim in that goldy colour of Glinda's hair. So I'm using E15, E33, and then I'm going to use some Y11. I'm going to skip the middle colour because it's a small section there anyway. So just marked out all of the darker areas that I wanted with that E15, and now I'm coming out and bringing those parts in towards each other. So as we're creating or coming in towards each other, we're creating that highlight again. So I'm just grabbing out my purples, and I actually ran out of V09. Would you believe it? I actually have just gone and purchased it again from the art shop. But yeah, I ran out here. So not fun. I'm coming in with V09, and I'm coming in to do, or V09 I should say, do all the shadow areas on the Wicked Witch's dress now. If I had have had more of that colour, the dress would have looked a lot deeper. So I only end up doing one layer, and I think it really could have done with 2 layers. So if you can, and you don't have a run out marker, you could go in and do a second layer to make this nice and deep and smoother. So just to let you know that as we go, I'm just coming in and marking out all of those dips and valleys again, and also marking out anywhere where there's a shadow over the clothing. I accidentally put it in between the hand there, but I didn't want that, but we don't see that at the end anyway. Just coming in now and just marking all those areas out. So as I do the hat here, you can actually see how that marker's running out. So when I'm flicking it out, I'm getting that sort of fuzzy line because it's just empty. It was also really, really squeaky as I was going, so I was really trying to push as much as I could out. Now I could have added some clear ink in here, but with these darker colours, I feel it still lightens them off a little bit anyway, so I didn't want to do that, being that I was going to go pick up a refill fairly soon anyway. So I'm just marking out the shadow areas on the hat now. I'm going to go over the top of that colour with some V06, which is a nice bright purple pink colour. So on the hat here, I'm also going to do the band with this. So the larger sections of that band on the hat, I'm going to make purple. So I'm just going to flick up from the bottom edge and flick down from the top edge, still creating a gap in the middle for that highlight. So still using that V06 on this part here. And as you can see, because it doesn't have that V09 behind it, it's going to be a lot lighter in colour than the rest of the hat. And then I've got some V04 next, and I'm just going out to the remaining edge, or out over the rest of it, and I'm just leaving on the very edge a white spot. So we're covering over the remaining area, but we are trying to leave a little bit of white on there as a reflection. So on the band around the hat, we're going to go over with this V04 and just bring that colour in towards the middle section a little bit more as well. I'm going to do the edge of the hat as well, just to show that it's a lot brighter than the rest of it. So now I've done that, I want to put a little bit of a lighter colour into the hat band there. I'm going to use some V20. It is a little bit more blue than the other purple. So the other purple is more pink, this one's a little bit more blue. But because it's just a little bit lighter, I wanted that in there as well. I've just done this over those highlighted sections as well, so we can still see a little bit of colour, but it is more pale, and we can go back over those a little bit with white as well. So just in the top of the hat there, I've just got to fill in those bands in between. And I think I need to smooth out this hat part here as well. So I'm just going to use some colorless blender just to sort of desaturate that color a little bit, so it's not quite so rough in that area, and it just softens off into the white. I've done the same on the highlights there as well. So I just wanted to sort of blend it out a little bit and make it a little bit smoother. So when you are going from a darker color to white like that, it is really nice to have that colorless blender to be able to make that transition nice and smooth. So I just wanted to come into the background now. I'm filling it out with marker, black marker, just going into all of the darker areas. It looks like there were some clouds there in the background. I've just covered over those, and I'm just filling it all in with black. I've left that tiny little section right behind them, and I'm going to do them that yellow, so that will sort of shine through between the two of them. So now I've filled out all the black. I've got Y11 and I'm just coming into the middle of the two of them and just filling out the whole area with this colour. So we've just got a couple of details to fix up now. We've got the band of the hat and also the crystal ball. Now, just before I deleted it and re-recorded this part because I couldn't remember what that actual ball she was holding was called. But I figured it out now and it's a crystal ball. So I'm coming in with some VO4 and all I'm doing is kind of lining it out. I want it to sort of go out in a bit of a spiral shape. So I'm just sort of marking out a little bit of a circle within the ball, and we're going to use the white gel pen to sort of give us that reflection and shiny look. So first of all, I'm using this VO4 to mark that out. I'm going to blend it out with some RV63, which is a real pink colour. So just sort of going around those colours and over the top of them, and just bringing this out in towards the white areas as well. Okay, so I'm just using the white gel pen to mark out some areas on the clothes and the crystal ball and things like that as well. I've got some black to go into the hat there for the trim, which I've forgotten to do till the last minute. And also she's holding that beautiful little crown in her hands, which I think I completely bypassed until right at the end and I went, oh, I have to do that. So I'm going to make that gold, so I'll run through the gold colours in a moment. So we'll use the same colours that we used in her hair. I've got E15, E33. I'm just going to go in and line out all of the shadow areas first. I'm just marking over the lines that are already there. So guys, this is the last part of the video. I'm just going to put a little bit more white in the background there, but we're basically finishing up now with this crown. I really do hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget there is a speed colouring of the pencil one that's coming up as well. And if you want to see the full in-depth pencil one, then you can pop over to Patreon and have a look at that. So you do need to be a patron to have access to it. Coming in now with that E33 and just blending over the top of the E15, I've got some Y32 now, and just going over the top of that again. If you do have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. There are contact details in the description below. Don't forget Instagram, Facebook, and I think that's everything now. So I've got E11 coming in to finish that off now. So just going to finish off the sparkles in the crown there with the white gel pen and put some spots in the background there for the stars. So guys, at white gel pen now, this is it. We're at the end. I'm just popping in those sparkly bits still in the background. I just want to thank Jasmine Beckett for these beautiful images. I want to thank you guys for watching, and if you haven't subscribed, please do so, and you will, if you click on the notifications, you can get notifications when I do upload new videos. Again, thank you so much for watching, and see you next time, guys.